How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to TheBlueShifting, and welcome to real spicy episode. So it seems like, I'm gonna say seems for a reason, but apparently Senna confronted us after we apparently saved ISA, which is great. It seems Rimi was at the hospital for some reason, not sure why, but ultimately we also are here because apparently Nanami's been captured, and as proof, Shogun sent us literally her disconnected hand in a box. Had the bracelet and was holding her phone. So that's horrifying, but I have a sliver of hope. This whole game is precipitating on the idea that you can project illusions into people's minds. That when applied properly, you could show somebody something that isn't actually there as being there. Or I would argue could even be something, making something appear as if it is something else. So what if they send us like a prosthetic hand, but then use that technology of that satellite to make it look like Nanami's hand? It's possible. I'm hoping that's the case. I don't doubt that she's in danger. I do think we're going to have to do something to try and save her life, but I'm hoping she hasn't actually lost her hand, because that would be so sad. She's one of my favorite characters already, and I really don't want anything bad happen to her. So I'm just going to hope. We're going to see how it happens, but other than that, we're going to just go. We're going to find out what's happening next. Either we're going to have an amazing sequence of events, we're going to attempt to rescue her, or I ended right before the end of the chapter and we're about to just watch something horrifically tragic happen before it phases out to the next chapter, which is also very, very possible. But yeah, we'll find out. So here we go. Let's jump right in. I forcefully shoved Sierra-tan's figure into the inner pocket of my uniform. I had bought Sierra-tan as a good luck charm. In a normal situation, I would never get caught dead carrying around a figure because it could get damaged, obviously. Destroying your precious waifu is the most horrible thing an otaku could do. But right now, I couldn't bring myself to abide by my usual policies. I needed the emotional support above all else. And on top of that, I might not live to see another day anyway. I took one last glance at Sierra-tan. Her head was still sticking out of my pocket, and by doing so, I managed to hold back the tears that were on verge of flooding out. Suddenly, someone bumped into me from behind, making me stumble. I turned around to see some DQN staring at me with an annoyed look, and then, much to my surprise, he didn't say anything. He simply vanished into the crowd. I looked around. What was at Scramble Crossing? The crowd was so huge, it was hard to believe it was 9 p.m. on a weekday, not to mention the very same day an earthquake had killed 100 people. I felt like it was suffocating, waiting for the pedestrian signal. People were surrounding me from every direction. Oh, no. See, that's what the thing is. Like, I was wondering, the call that we were receiving, I think it was either it's from Shogun or something, and I think it's supposed to be impending about what this situation is. Like, the Yume cross signal is going to go, and then we're going to see her, and something's going to happen, and an ambulance is going to get called. That's the sequence of events, isn't it? Don't let that be the sequence of events. As for some reason I wasn't aware of, the media was flooding in too. People with huge TV cameras were forcing themselves onto the road, halting traffic. The flashes coming from every couple seconds nearly blinded me. A group of people who are likely reporters were giving passionate speeches to their respective cameras. A few policemen were attempting to shoo away the mass media and pedestrians standing in the road, but gaining back control of the situation seemed pretty much impossible. It was like a paradise for people without cars. Were they holding some kind of event? Why this late? Why today? Considering 100 people died, that was definitely a bad taste. Didn't they have any kind of respect? And if there was an event, it was crazy that the mass media was joining in on the insanity. Japan was over. Nah, not that it mattered to me. I'm glad that when the push came to shove, he actually does love his sister. Like, he's annoyed by her, he didn't want her around, but then when she's in danger, and he's convinced that she's in danger, he's literally doing whatever he can to save her. He doesn't know what he can do, and he probably can't do much, but he's trying. I mean, you'd think he'd also call the police, but I'll give him that he is suspecting that they're following him and suspect him of the murders, which they are. And I understand that he would then likely not want to call them to his house with what we assume is a severed hand, because I imagine they won't be quite likely to just take his story, at face value. The place Shogun had told me to go was O-Front, the building which sat right in front of Scramble Crossing, the one with the Tatsuya and star bricks located inside it. I really didn't want to come alone, but I couldn't get in touch with Rimi no matter how many times I tried. And the police were probably still mistaking me for the NewGen culprit, so I couldn't go to them. But the time Shogun had set was getting closer and closer, and I was too worried about Nanami to stay home, so I had no choice but to go there while holding on to Seiratan. I carved a path through the sea of people and somehow managed to get inside O-Front. Unfortunately for me, it was pretty crowded inside too, but I didn't even have the strength to be upset about it. The only thing on my mind were my prayers for Nanami's safety. I took the escalator that led to the upper floors. Using one of the windows inside the star bricks, I was able to look down towards Scramble Crossing. Now that I was looking at it from above, it was even more crowded than I'd thought. And they weren't just standing there either. Some of them were waving, some were jumping, some were doing both. Countless dark heads bobbed up and down. It was even more blinding now than when I was down there. It felt like all the lights were pointed at me. With each new floor of escalator brought me to my heartbeat grew faster and faster. I took out my phone to check the time. There was 1 minute left before 9 p.m., the time he'd set. The thought of Shogun killing Nanami out of anger, it terrified me so much I started sprinting up the steps to the escalator, pushing aside anyone in my way. I changed to an elevator to access the top floor. I didn't know how to get to the rooftop after that, but as I wandered around, I spotted an emergency staircase. No one stopped me as I shot through it, and I successfully made my way to the rooftop. Please, please don't let her die. A strong wind was blowing. Considering it was the end of October, it was weirdly lukewarm outside. It took me a minute, but I soon realized it wasn't a natural breeze, but one blown by an outdoor AC unit. I buttoned the front button of my uniform so that Seiratan wouldn't fall out. Okay. I felt a slight sense of relief when I heard Seiratan's voice in my head. Seiratan was with me, so there was nothing to be afraid of. I desperately tried to convince myself of that. Before that moment, I had yet to realize how dark it was. The only source of light was from the back of the lit O-Front sign. Ironically, the neon lights from the surrounding buildings were too bright for me to see anything. If someone were hiding in the shadows, I would have been incapable of seeing them. Oh my gosh. So is Shogun here? I don't think so, because that sounded like a speaker, but dang. Our heartbeat, which had started to finally calm down, skyrocketed once again after hearing those words break the silence. I looked all around me, but I was unable to figure out what direction the voice had come from. And then I heard a sound, a squeaking sound, that I'd heard several times before. This time I deliberately focused my gaze into the rampant darkness. There I spotted the glow, the backlit outline. The backlit outline of a wheelchair's wheels.
Huh?
Shogun.
Yokoso, Takumi-kun.
He was talking to me like he knew me, like we were friends. Felt so wrong. Goosebumps sprang up on my skin. I didn't want to talk to him. I was too scared. I wanted to get out of there as soon as possible. But Nanami was...
君はすごく勇気のある人だ。ちゃんと一人で来てくれるとは。ありがとう。と言っておくよ。
Wait a minute. Something was off about him. He was different from before. Yeah, his voice. Something was off about his voice.
その声。声なんて。ただの空気の振動でしかないよ。
I mean, he's right.
どう聞こえるか、その場の条件によって変わる。
Right.
そうだろ?
What was going on? His voice kept changing. Was he using some kind of voice changer? Did he want to hide who he was by disguising his voice? Why now then? Why hadn't he before? That aside though, I wasn't following what he was saying. Right. You're right. You're completely right, Seiratan. Seiratan always spoke nothing but truth. Well, that's a dangerous... I don't think that's the case. I tightly squeezed Seiratan's body through my clothes.
Nanami wa doko?
It felt like my heart was about to burst from the fear. Even still, I desperately forced out my voice. I thought stuff like this only happened on TV and video games.
ナナミはもう死んだの？
うん。
ダウト。だって手首ちょん切られちゃったんだよ。
Right.
もし生きてるにしてももうすぐ出血多量で死んじゃうのは変わんないよ。
No, Nanami. Tears began to flow. Nanami's sulking face appeared in my mind. Honestly, she was a brat, a real annoying one. And yet, despite that, I was so sad. Sad enough to tears for tears to flow.
ナナミは僕の妹なんだ。僕の大切な。なんで殺したんだ。ひどいよ。
死んだと思う。もしかしたら君の家に送ったあの手首は別人のものかもしれないよ。バングルと携帯はナナミちゃんのものだとしても、手首そのものは別人のものかもしれないっていうこと。
I mean, if that were the case, that's a lot of like smoke and mirrors to go through, because it involves another person's body that has to be similar build, and somehow getting Nanami's phone and bangle from her. I don't know. Nanami was alive.
信じちゃダメだってば。
君が見事クエストをクリアしたら、ナナミちゃんは返すよ。生きているナナミちゃんを、ね。
Quest. Shogun had used that word again. Did he want me to think of this like a game? But the real me wasn't a hero. He wasn't anything like one.
でももしクリアできなかった場合、ナナミちゃんは帰ってこない。
Suddenly, Shogun's voice became cold as ice. Getting scared of some old guy like this was pathetic, but this man wasn't normal. This man was the NewGen culprit.
だから、僕を失望させないよう、やり遂げてほしい。君ならできるよ。
なんで僕なの？僕じゃなくても、僕なんかじゃなくてもいいじゃないか。
君でなくちゃダメなんだ。
Why? Why does it have to be you? Why is it like our ability to like manipulate reality?
だからなんで？
君は選ばれた人間だから。
I was the chosen one.
勘違いしちゃダメだよ、タッキー。
In this case, the delusion of the anime girl is right. Listen to her.
あいつの言う選ばれたってのは次の犠牲者として選ばれたって意味なんだから。
The tragic end of all the NewGen victims flashed through my mind, sending shivers down my spine.
君は今日の昼間のことをもちろん覚えているよね。
昼間？
学校で君は岸本綾瀬を助けた。
Shogun had also mentioned Ayase's suicide attempt in the email. He must have been observing the whole debacle from somewhere. Or maybe he'd been mind controlling Ayase? Maybe he was the reason she tried to kill herself?
あの花壇のおかげで岸本綾瀬は一命を取り留めた。そうでしょ？
Shogun knew about my power. Back at school, no one had even questioned the existence of the flower bed. The only one that had was Senna, and she'd gone to accuse me.
お前が妄想したんだろ。
タッキー、将軍の言うことは全力で否定して。
Come on. Right. Maybe the entire reason why Shogun was following me around, why he was trying to kill me, was because I had powers. If I claimed that I didn't have any powers, maybe he'd let me off the hook.
僕にはそんな力ない。
力？力って何のこと？僕はそんな言葉は一言も使っていないが。
Crap. Shoot.
タッキーには力なんてないよ。ただの肝オタなんだよ。タッキーにヒーローの素質なんてないさ。私にハーハーしてるだけの無害の引きこもり予備軍。そうっしょ？
Alright, a little harsh, but you're kind of on the right track of like what we should be saying. Yeah. The idea that I had actual real-life powers is nothing more than a chuny bull crap I dreamt up. I'd almost been convinced by what Senna and Ayase had told me. But those two were raging mental cases. They weren't right in the head. And I wouldn't be much better if I actually just believed them without a second thought. Even Rimi had said it was delusional.
詳しく説明してくれない？あの花壇のこととか。
僕がやったっていう証拠はあるの？花壇を何もないところから出現させるなんて、そんなの僕には無理。
花壇が何もないところから出現したんだ。
Yeah, unfortunately, I get he's not in the frame of mind to have pre-thought this, but that's a giveaway. Because everyone else, for everyone else, it was as if the flower bed had always existed. From their perspective and in their memories, it was always there. So the fact that he's the one who said it appeared denotes that he is in touch with this ability, whatever it is.
他の人は誰もが最初からそこに花壇があったって話していたけど。
You spoke to them. So you talked to people. So maybe he's not wheelchair bound then? Why be in the wheelchair?
君だけは花壇は最初はそこになかったってそう認識しているわけだ。
No, Senna did. No, I dug my grave even deeper. What kind of monster was this guy? When he'd mentioned that he'd talked to everyone, did that mean he'd physically gone to my school and talked to the people there?
僕は力なんてない。自分でも一体どうやったのか。
でも使えた。君が妄想したことが現実になった。
惑わされないで。タッキー、本当に力なんてあると思う？
I mean, the problem is that there is mounting evidence that is what's happening.
そんなのアニメの世界じゃん。タッキーがいるのは現実なんだよ。花壇のこともアヤセッチが2人に分裂したこともそれらが現実だったって証明できる？無理しろ。分裂したアヤセッチの体に触った？
No, I didn't. Yeah, he says she's right there.
ただの幻かも。そもそもタッキーはあの時警察とかユアッチに追われて動転してたし。
Then what about the flower bed?
同じだよ。花壇は最初からそこにあった。タッキーはリミッチを探してあそこへ行った時頭が痛くてフラフラしてた。アヤセッチが落ちるまでにはっきりとそこに花壇があることを確認した？
I guess that's technically true. Oh man, is it really trying to play with us though? Is it trying to make us think that it wasn't that it all is just reality? Oh, I'm actually genuinely starting to wonder because it's actually making solid cases here where like we don't have evidence. Truly, we don't. Well, then again though, we have the swords materializing out of the air, but then again, that's also illusion. Like that could be the satellite thing messing with our heads. We know that there's technology that makes it so we can't trust our senses. And in fact that we know that and that it's probably in use somehow means what are we supposed to believe?
みんな誰一人として花壇が出現したことを疑問に思ってないってことはさ、逆に言えば最初からそこにあったから疑問に思わないってことっしょ？
I mean, probably, but like at the same time, why would then Senna approach us like she did? Why would she decide, like, why she mentioned that it also appeared, but then like he's talking about how like he's disqualifying her and ISA because he thinks that they're not right in the head. If you decide to discount them as unreliable witnesses, then all the evidence we have is circumstantial, and anything that we've seen that's been bizarre is tied to those two. And if we dismiss that because it just doesn't work in tangibility because there's no like frame of reference that we can trust, then technically she's right. Seatan's saying that everything could have been just coincidence up to this point.
タッキーが間違えてただけなんだよ。将軍の言葉に惑わされちゃダメ。
花壇は最初からそこにあった。
I repeated what Seatan said.
最初はそこにはなかったって思い込んでたけど、記憶違いだった。僕の脳内での妄想だよ。だってみんなあそこには花壇があったって言ってるんでしょ。力とかそういうわけのわからないものじゃなくて、ただの思い込みだったんだ。
いや、君には力がある。そうだろ？
死にたくない。
そうだろ？
わからない。殺さないで。
君は自分の天才的な力についてもっと自覚するべきだよ。
Yeah.
その潜在能力はすごすぎる。君なら世界を変えることだってできるんだ。
I mean, he might. That's the thing, though. Like I was saying before, if this power were real, like if he can literally alter reality with his delusions, like permanently, it's literally one of the most terrifying powers I could imagine. I wanted to go home. I wanted to hole up in my base and play ASL forever, get glued to a chair for eternity like a disabled person. I wanted to spend my days grinning over Sierratad's figure and marathoning Blood Tune on loop. That was all I wished for.
タッキー、早く逃げて。私がずっと一緒にいてあげる。私だけがタッキーの味方なの。
But you're not real. The ironic thing is, she's citing all this evidence about how he doesn't have powers, that the delusions are fake, that nothing's like tangible. But she's part of that whole delusional thing. If we have to dismiss ISA and Senna for their points of view, we have to dismiss our own points of view because we can't trust what we see. We have delusions that we're literally interacting with right now, and those delusions are telling us to doubt what we see. Do you see that? The problem there? It's right. I think we should be very cautious about this, and I think he needs to be careful and not to take everything at face value, especially with Shogun, who's proven to be, at the best of cases, insane. But then you have this whole concept here where he's being told by a delusion to not trust these delusions. So problematic is just the word of the day.
だから帰ろう。3次元とのつながりなんて断ち切って楽しいことだけして生きよう。
Yeah, no. See, that's too far.
さて、前置きはこれぐらいにして、そろそろクエストを始めよう。まずは下のスクランブル交差点がよく見えるところまで行ってほしい。
逃げなきゃ。このままじゃ本当に殺されちゃうよ。
聞こえなかった？スクランブル交差点を見下ろせるところへ移動するんだ。
His tone was soft, yet his voice was unbelievably cold. His voice was sharp. Any will I had left to defy him was sapped away.
何を？
My legs were shaking and they refused to move. I wrapped my arms around myself. I had even lost the ability to discern whether I should listen to his order or not.
僕の言うことが聞けない？従ってもらわないと、ナナミちゃんの命は保証できないよ。
どうせもう死んじゃってるよ。タッキーが今から頑張ったってただの無駄死にだよ。
Man, it sucks. If I were, it's like I feel like we're in like what like catch-22. There's no good way. There's no good path forward here. But fetch. It's probably statistically better if we just run. Because if he has a plan, for some reason it seems to involve us. And if we can just get ourselves away, maybe we can disrupt that plan. But at the same time, the risk to Nanami is fairly real. Like, at the very least, someone knew how to target her. That means that even if she's not in mortal danger right now, she could easily become so.
ナナミの声聞かせて。
I managed to squeeze that out, my voice as small as it could be. However, Shogun rejected my request in an instant.
その必要はないよ。君はもう少し今の状況を考えた方がいい。
I didn't want to think about Nanami's death. I didn't want to imagine her dying. I was too afraid of that. If I imagined it, it would become real. That's actually kind of terrifyingly possible. The downside to these delusions is that if he has a powerful enough delusion, whether it's positive or negative, it could just become real. And if that not happens, go no. In the end, I relented. I started walking to a spot where I could look down at Scramble Crossing like Shogun had ordered me to. I could barely see where I was going. If I wasn't careful, I could easily trip and fall. On the side of the rooftop facing Scramble Crossing, a transparent acrylic plate protruded out and up like a wall. It was about 3 stories high. As I approached the wall, I could hear the tumult of the crowd crossing below. A single woman's voice caught my ear. It seemed like it was coming from the Jumbotron mounted on the neighboring building.
アクリル板の壁に一箇所だけ壊れて穴が開いている部分があるだろ?
I wiped away the cold sweat from my forehead, and then, moving only my eyes, I just looked toward the wall. Just as Shogun had said, there was a hole where a single person could pass through. It had a unnatural shape to it, like it had been smashed open. It had clearly been destroyed by human hands. Of course, there was nothing beyond the hole, only a sheer 8-story drop leading straight down to concrete.
そこから顔を出して下にいるギャラリーに挨拶してあげて.
Oh my gosh. What had he just said?
もう一度言おうか? その穴から身を乗り出して下にいる人たちに手を振ってあげてほしい.
No. Couldn't mean.
ほら、あいつタッキーを殺す気なんだって。
I gulped. Was this how he'd gotten the 5 people to jump off? It really was exactly as Sayatan had said. There was no way out of it. I was going to die. He was going to make me jump down from here and die.
そんなの嫌だ。
拒否すればナナミちゃんは死ぬよ。
従えばタッキーは死んじゃうよ。
What the hell was I supposed to do? I tried to figure out what the best course of action was, but the only things circling my mind were the most negative delusions possible. I was unable to think straight. Someone save me.
鬼のバーカ。
I could hear Nanami's voice echoing within my panic-stricken ears.
ヒヒバーカ。
Memories of Nanami smiling happily resurfaced in my mind. She looked so carefree. It was all my fault. Nanami had nothing to do with any of this, but because of me, she'd gotten kidnapped by Shogun, and then he'd cut off her hand. I'm sorry, Nanami. I'm so sorry. I wiped away my tears, but that didn't stop them. I wiped once again. Then, with my vision still blurry, I slowly approached the smashed hole. And then, more afraid than I'd ever been before, I looked down. Ugh. I have no real problem with heights. Well, no, I do. I have an absolute problem with heights. But funny enough, for me, the heights problem is like the insecurity of it. So like approaching a cliff edge, standing on top of a rooftop, it makes my stomach churn. I like get all shaky. But if I have a harness on and I'm tied to a rope, or there's a fence, even if it's a small fence that realistically I could accidentally fall over, just having a little barrier or some type of safety mechanism makes me feel 100% better. But in this situation, I would absolutely I'll be just like throwing up. Suddenly, a huge cheer akin to the rumbling of very earth itself came from the people below. A large crowd was gathered in front of the station. The media were there too. They were all there for an event that was about to unfold. Suddenly, a blinding light hit me. I squinted reflexively and looked away. Then, when my eyes landed upon the Jumbotron of the closest building, what I saw was unmistakably... Yeah, it's him. Me. Me? Only Jumbotron, with my own face covered in tears and with my mouth hanging half open like an idiot. My back was hunched too. For a split second, I thought I was hallucinating. A chill ran through me as I thought that someone was secretly recording me somewhere. And then considered if it was what was being projected, there was actually images taken from my thoughts by Shogun. But after exhausting every last possible option, I realized that it had to be a live feed of me right this very moment, at this very place. And the video playing on the Jumbotron even had a news ticker featuring sensational taglines. Live from the Shibuya Station Plaza, the amazing Esper boy finally meets his debut. The ticker commentating the situation was situated along the bottom of the screen. The amazing Esper boy, endorsed by the psychic of the century, Yuri Brightman. Yuri Brightman, that sounds familiar. Yuri Brightman. Why does that name sound familiar? Have I heard? Was that in like Steins Gate or something? That sounds familiar. Yuri Brightman appears. Don't miss the one. When will he divine the NewGen perpetrator's true identity? After reading it, I finally understood. I finally understood what the media and the spectators on the Scramble Crossing below were looking at. It was me. Don't look at me. Oh my gosh, really? Why were they fixated on me? Esper Boy, what the hell is that all about? Well, okay. I feel like delusions here could become really important. We know delusions can make reality. If we do this one, I think we'll die. If we do this one, we might have a positive outcome. If we don't do anything, I don't know. Fetch me. This feels like an important moment. Like, I feel like this is the moment where things are gonna make, like, up until now, I don't think it's ultimately mattered. I feel like this one will. Like, my instincts scream at me I should save the game, but I won't bother with that. I can always come back here if I have to. I'm not doing the red. I'm either doing nothing or green. Saratown would be focusing on the reality. I think I want to try a positive delusion. Did any of them have any idea what had happened today? We'd gotten hit by a darn earthquake. The seismic intensity 5.1 and 100 people had died. So why were each and every one of them, why were they waiting there just to see an otaku freak like me make a butt of himself? Positive thoughts, man, positive thoughts. It's insane, but it really might come down to that. Shogun. It was most likely him who'd brought them here. They were all under his mind control. All of them were expecting me to jump off from here and die. An overwhelming surge of negative emotions struck me. Tell me, was there anyone on my side?
Taku!
Suddenly, among the clamor, I heard a voice calling my name.
Taku!
A voice all too familiar, a voice I knew, a voice that belonged to the one and only person on my side. It wasn't an illusion, and it wasn't auditory hallucination either. It was Rimi. Rimi was calling me from somewhere. Where was she? I searched desperately for her. But there was too many people. It was impossible to identify a single person amongst all of them, especially from this height. Struck by despair, I hung my head in regret. Inevitably, as the consequences of this, I ended up looking directly below me. And there I saw a figure of a girl looking up at me, waving both her hands.
Rimi!
There she was. She had come to save me. Happy as I could be at realizing I'd been saved, I nodded over and over again. My vision was blurred by tears of joy. I quickly wiped them away. I didn't want to lose sight of Rimi for even a single second. However, I looked again toward the spot Rimi was waving from and saw that something was wrong. For some reason, the crowd around Rimi started surrounding her, with Rimi at its center. A clear circle of dark heads began to form. They moved closer and closer to her. And eventually, who knows how many DQNs reached toward Rimi and began to jostle her. Hating what was being done to her, she tried to break free from the man-made enclosure, but due to the sheer number of people surrounding her, she couldn't even take one step. It was as if she was standing right in the middle of the morning train, a claustrophobic nightmare packed to the brim with people heading to work.
Yose, Rimi ni te o dasu na yo.
I could faintly hear the sound of her screams. The number of people surrounding Rimi were gradually increasing, as were the intensity of their behavior. As they pushed her around, they pulled at her clothes, and eventually her jacket was stripped away. Oh great, this went dark fast.
そんなエロゲみたいなことやめて。リミ逃げて。そこから逃げろ。それで早く僕を助けに来て。
My prayers were left unanswered. The crowd rushing toward Rimi was still getting bigger and bigger, and her lone resistance wasn't enough to hold them back. Countless men tore off her clothes, pulled her hair, dragged her onto the road. Fetch me. She disappeared into that sea of people, and I lost sight of her. Like hyenas devouring a dead animal's flesh, more and more DQNs rushed in for the taste, their bodies stirring around where Rimi had just disappeared. Oh no, they're gonna hate her, they're gonna get Rimi. The DQNs who had brought her, those who were being mind controlled by Shogun, were going to ruin her, defile her with their filthy hands. And after that, after they were done, they would meet with a cruel, merciless end at their hands. Tears started to flow, but my lip hard. I wasn't crying simply out of sorrow and anger over what was happening to Rimi. I was crying because of the sheer terror I felt once I realized every single person there was my enemy. There was nowhere to run anymore. I was trapped. Oh boy. That was the good one?
やだやだやだやだ怖い
I was scared, this close to pissing myself. I'd never felt so close to death before. Felt like my consciousness was drifting away. And now I was like a child throwing a tantrum. I started to cry. I hoped that by doing so, Shogun would let me go. I hoped that by doing so, the crowd below would maybe feel sympathy for me and come save me. I hoped that by doing so, the police would realize I wasn't their culprit. I was just an innocent otaku freak, and they would come save me. I hoped that by doing so, my parents, who would be watching TV at home, would come and take my place. I hoped that by doing so, Rimi maybe would come rushing in to save me. I hoped that by doing so, I would suddenly wake up and realize it was all a dream. With this myriad of hopes in my mind, I shook my head desperately, and then I cried out to my soul wish. I don't want to die. And yet...
その場から一歩でも下がれば、ナナミちゃんは死ぬからね。
Shogun's tone hadn't changed at all from before.
君はもう舞台に上がってしまったんだ。覚醒するには最高のステージだとは思わないか。そこに集まっている人たちも君に期待しているんだ。もしそれを裏切れば、ボートと化して君に襲いかかってくるかもしれない。
When he said that, I froze, unable to take a step back nor look behind me.
気にすんな。ただの脅し文句だよ。タッキー、ナナミッチは死んじゃったんだよ。今ここで逃げ出してもタッキーは悪くないってば。
Even if that were true,
そこから見える景色に集中してほしい。
Shogun's voice was very calm, which somehow only made him all the more intimidating. I couldn't even find it in me to say anything back.
君にここでしてもらうことは一つだけ。
飛び降りるなんてできない。死んじゃう。
誰もそんなことは言っていないよ。
Huh? Was I wrong? Then what did that mean I didn't have to die?
君にはそこから一歩も動かずにディソードを見つけてもらう。
Oh, interesting. Interesting. Why? Find my D sword? How? I'd been searching for it as hard as I could for a long time, but I'd never even gotten close. It was completely absurd to think I could somehow find it here just because he'd ordered me to.
ディソードはいわば妄想の剣。それだけ言えばわかるだろ。
No.
騙されちゃダメだよ、タッキー。ディソードなんて実在しないって。妄想が実際にあるわけないっしょ。
He was close though.
見つかるわけないよ。
君はこれまでに剣を持った人間と何度か接触した。そうだね。その人物から聞いているはず。ディソードをどうやって手に入れたのか。
No, they
よく
didn't.
思い出して。
この剣は命運を握るもの。この剣は嘆きを収束させたもの。
Converges all sorrows.
この剣は超越した場所に干渉するためのもの。異空間のようなもの。同一次元上にあるもう一つの可能性。
Another possibility, a world line.
あるいは妄想。言い方にあまり意味はないわ。唯一確かなの。この剣もその領域に存在しているということ。
So it exists between realms.
いつの間にかそこにあった。気づかなかったわ、最初は。でもちょっとだけ見方を変えたら
Altered perspective, it all became clear.
もしかしたら匠にももう見えているのかも。見ているだけで。
世界を疑え。仕組みを知る。
Doubt the world, study its mechanisms.
お前の見ている景色は本物か？
Is everything you see real?
妄想は現実にすることが可能だ。本当じゃないものが景色に紛れ込む。
Objects that aren't real blend into the scenery around us.
つまりエラーを現実として認識させる。
Errors.
そうだよ。すでに多くのヒントが提示されているよね。君にはもう見えているはず。君の眼下に広がっているその景色の中に。
Wait. I see it. I see the sword. It's right there. It's on the screen. It's like along the bar of the building. It's like I you can't see the mouse, so you can't see, but it's like it's right there. It's in the light. The billboard, it says autumn on it. Like it's right there. It's like a purple blade. It has like an eye in the handle next to the 107. So what was he saying was it's right there. I see it. Click on it. Shogun was hiding a D sword somewhere in the scenery I was looking at and I just had to find it.
見つけたら許してくれるの？
見つけるだけじゃクエストクリアにはならない。実際に剣を手に入れるんだ。
It's right there. I see it. I see it. Was it there the whole time? Like, it's been there. Oh, wouldn't it be insane if it's actually been in like almost every CG? Like, it's been all over the place. I just wasn't noticing it. But like, I see it now. It's right there.
その場から一歩も動いちゃならないっていうルールを破らないようにしてね。
It's like, can I do anything about it? Because I see it. There was no way I could do that. If I couldn't move from here, how was I supposed to grasp the fetching sword? What the heck would they even want me to do? It's right there. I see it.
だからあいつは無理難題を突きつけておいて結局タッキーを殺したいだけなんだって。
I see it.
それができないなら、ナナミちゃんの命はないよ。
逃げようタッキー。お家に帰ろう。
But he just said that if I move one step here from here, Nanami will die.
だからナナミッチはどうせ助からないってば。
Long gone. Or, I mean, he could be doing the loophole because technically everyone will die eventually. But he said that I could save her.
あいつの言葉を信じるの？嘘ついてるかもしれないよ。
It's right there. I strained my eyes. The bright lights from below made it hard to see much of the scenery as ours. Farther away it was, the harder it was to see. It's right there. No, you're looking away from it. It's right there. It's right there. I see it. It's right there. I'm following it with my cursor. I want to see if I can click on it. Oh, sorry. I clicked to it was trying hard to look around, but the scenery I could see from here wasn't all that vast. Most of it was hidden behind buildings. It's right there. But I had to find my sword.
無理だよ。
It's right there. What the heck was I supposed to do? I thought about what Ayase had said and had said once more.
でもちょっとだけ見方を変えたらわかった。
It's so cool. It actually reminds me of shoot, what's the game called? It's like, oh gosh, darn it, it's gonna drive me crazy. It's like it's a game that reminds me a lot of Portal, but it's not. It's about like perspectives. It's about like being able to grab objects in the space, and like by changing your perspective and orientation, you can change its size and shape or the way it interacts with the world. It's so cool. It's such a cool game, but that's literally what it is. Like you suddenly have to look at the world and be like, no, that's distinct, and you reach out and you grab it out of the environment.
本当じゃないものが景色に紛れ込む。
Yeah, that's such a cool concept. And when I thought about that, for some reason, I recalled the pattern of the ceiling in my parents' house. Oh, back when I was a kid, I remembered having random thoughts about it before I'd gone to sleep. Holy crap! Actually, that's terrifying. I did too. My roof on my ceiling, we had I can't remember. I always called it like popcorn decal. It was basically like these like little like spiky lumps that were like put into the paint. I don't know who demented person came up with that concept for freaking putting in your house, because it didn't look that great, and it meant that if you like it was on the walls and like you like, stumbled and fell into the wall, it would scrape you and like you'd knock some stuff off. It's like bits of plaster built in. I don't know, it was weird. But my ceiling had it in my personal bedroom. I remember I had one time where I had a fever. I was like I was sick. I had a high fever. And it was to the point where my fever was big enough that I started having hallucinations. And I remember I was really terrified because I was like 9 or something. And I'm laying on my bed looking up at the ceiling. And I'm like looking at... I'm looking at the ceiling. And it looked like it was like moving, like it was undulating, like it was like a sea. But then I had all these like bumps and crystals and things on it. And it just looked really like my eyes were telling me that the ceiling was moving, and I knew it couldn't be, and it was horrifying. Anyway, as a kid, I remembered having random thoughts about it before I'd gone to sleep. To me, the grains of the wood with the ceiling had looked somewhat like a face. Once I'd seen it that way, I could no longer see it as anything else. Yeah. What's that? What do you call that? Pareidolia? A type of optical illusion in which the shape of a stain on the wall looks like a human face, the shape of a cloud in the sky looks like an animal, or other similar phenomena. A large majority of spirit photography is simply pareidolia. It's also like, it's part of our brain. Our brains are about pattern recognition and seeing faces or like animals and being able to pick them out vague, like long distances away would help our ancestors survive. So it makes sense. It's right there! I can't wait. I can't wait to look in the footage and like, was this sword there the whole time? Because I did see it eventually, but I bet you it was there for a little while before I noticed it. But it's right there. It's right there! Get real, I was just playing tricks on you, optical illusions, all that stuff. There's all sorts of stuff like that in the wood. She was right. She didn't really compare the two wood patterns, did it? Shogun murmured, his tone as detached as ever. How do I do it? It's right there. You can't see my mouse, but it's like circling it. It's right there. Just like that flower bed. And just like when Ayase divided herself in two. But the last time I tried to materialize the real D-sword, I tried using a delusion on a fake one, but it didn't work. I shook my head once more, then scanned the scenery visible to me from here. It's right there! Oh, he finally started to look at it! Oh, we're passing it. Nope, there it is, middle. I saw a sword. It's right here. Yeah, like, oh, there's a choice here. But that's the cool thing. It's like, I wonder how many people actually see it. Because, like, I might be going crazy, but I'm so sure there's a sword. Yes, I saw a sword. That's a choice. I distinctly saw a sword. Yeah, it's right there. It has an eye in its handle. If I move from here, I can take it. I think you can. Oh, it's no. The last one was a no. Fetch. Felt a strong push on my back. Before I could even notice, someone had moved right up behind me. I hadn't felt any presence. It couldn't have been Shogun. I had heard the creaking sound of the wheelchair. Then who? The nightscape of Shibuya Station spun around and around. I fell to the earth, felt the wind rushing over me, the ground was closing in. I could hear screams or rather cheers all around me. Is this it? This is how it ends? Is this how I die? Oh no. Not like this, 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 not like this. I'm guessing it isn't the end, but I'm honestly, I might save, go back and do that again, because I'm pretty sure I accidentally clicked no. Like, I should have clicked no the last time. Oof. Okay. Yeah, so I got that wrong. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that again because I know what it is. So we'll be right back. 1 second. I knew it. I just clicked through. I got too caught up in stuff, but like we'll get there. I can see the sword from other places in here. Oh, that's because the perspective. Okay, yeah, I get that. For this sword in particular, no, yeah, the perspective I have to have is from this position. It's not actually a sword. Alright, I'm saving because I don't want to have to go through all that again if I mess this up. That's a weird question. It's not actually a sword. It is a sword, but it's not a sword. Oh no, but that's the thing is like, no, it's supposed to be, it is a sword. It actually is a sword. I'm disappointed in myself, dang it, my logic is failing me. I was feeling so clever, and then I'm just stumbling through and having to blind, like, just stumble my way through. That's annoying. I wish I'd been more on the uptake. I've seen it. Yep, I saw it! I knew it was there! Within the night landscape blurred by my teary eyes, and amidst the scenery which the light was warping by my welling tears, I'd found the spot that looked just like a sword. Just like what Ayase had said. I hadn't noticed it at first, but when I'd ever so slightly altered my perspective, it was there before I knew it. Even if I'd just been coincidence, I was more than happy with it. The more I thought of it as a sword, the more defined it became, and over time it was becoming more and more real. It was slowly turning into a definite part of the scenery. And eventually, even its contours became clearly distinguishable. Likely having noticed my change in demeanor, Shogun immediately spoke to me. Alright, I looked down. I saw the crowd filled with countless people. The ambulance still had yet to arrive, just like back in noon. The response time was far, far too slow. Not that it was surprising, that was just how damaging the earthquake this morning had truly been. He's right, especially with these kinds of powers. Throw common sense to the wind. Could I really do that? If I just reached out, would that sword become mine? If so, then I should at least give it a try. Ayase had said that my D-sword would bring me salvation. Maybe those words were referring to exactly what was happening now. I would grasp the sword, complete the quest, bring Nanami home safe and sound, and have Shogun leave me alone forever. And then I would return to my peaceful life that I'd been living up until now. Oh, you better believe that's not gonna happen. Everything up until that last point, maybe. The final line, never. You pull that sword out, that's never happening. Even Shogun wouldn't make me do the impossible. I could do it. He wouldn't tell me to do it if I wasn't capable of it. I'm sorry, Saratan, but I am already reaching for my salvation. The crowd below started rumbling. My every move was being monitored by the thousands of people packed in front of the station. And it wasn't just them. I was also being watched by tens, if not hundreds of thousands of people all over Japan watching live on TV. I started feeling nauseous. The extreme pressure imposed by such a large number of people made my heart feel like it could explode at any second. No, just forget about them. If I stayed focused on them, I'd be too nervous to even lift a finger. I needed to focus only on the sword. Being as careful to maintain my footing as possible, I reached out my hand out. I tried to aim directly at the sword, letting my intuition do the rest. Felt nothing. The wind rushed toward me relentlessly. On top of that, the direction it was coming from was inconsistent. 1 second it was blowing through me from the front, the next it would push me from the side. I clung to the acrylic plate in an attempt to support myself, but it was too slippery to bring me anything more than emotional support. If I let my guard down even slightly, I'd get blown off. Even so, I was still trying desperately to grab the sword, but no matter how hard I tried, it didn't succeed.
できるわけないよ。だってあれは本当の剣じゃないんだよ。
Tears welled up once more. My vision blurred, and what had once appeared to be objects similar to a sword began to lose its shape. I quickly wiped my tears away, with the feeling that once I lost sight of it, it would disappear, it would never appear again.
それならもっと手を伸ばせばいい。
That's you? You don't know how this feels. I bit my lip, held back my tears, leaned forward more than I ever had before, and fished around in the open air with my hand. But I still couldn't grasp the sword.
もっと。
If I fell from here... I looked down once again, was higher than I thought I was. I felt dizzy, so I pulled back and clung to the acrylic plate once more.
どうしたの？剣を早く手に入れて。でないといつまで経ってもナナミちゃんは戻ってこないよ。
I shouldn't have looked down. I couldn't stop shaking. I thought I was going to slip because of it. I was so unbelievably afraid.
できないよ。許して。
君はあまり僕を舐めない方がいい。君のわがままに付き合うつもりはないんだ。理想度を手に入れろ。それができないなら、君の妹は死ぬ。君も死ねばいい。ただそれだけ。
Oh no, I don't want to die.
死にたくない。
I had no choice but to try again. I leaned out through the hole and extended my arm. I could still see the sword over there. I tried again and again, but of course nothing happened. It felt like I could reach it, but for some reason I just couldn't do it. I leaned out even farther, stretched out my hand as far as I could, reaching out with my entire body to try and grasp the sword. I even straightened out my fingertips. Then it slowly closed my hand. But just like every other time before, it felt nothing.
手が届かないよ。
It was impossible, just like Serotan had told me it was. There had never been a way for me to grab that translucent sword. Perspective had made it look normal size. When I actually thought about it, I realized how enormous it actually was. No, that's the thing. It's the perspective that matters. You need to perceive it as if it's not there on that building, but it's actually a few feet in front of you. It's just floating there, superimposed across the building. It wasn't a size a human could realistically carry.
その剣をつかめばクエストクリアなんだよ。
でも落ちちゃう。届かない。
ナナミちゃんを助けなくていいの？
助けて。もう許して。死にたくないんだよ。
昼間のことを思い出すんだ。君の力があれば、そこから落ちたとしても、また花壇を出現させればいい。君は落ちても死なない。
自信ある？
Right then, Serotan's snarky whisper reached my ear. Am I sure I can do it? Do what?
タッキーがここから落ちて、下の地面に激突するまでほんの3秒もないよ。その間に自分の意志でまた花壇を出現させる。タッキーがそんなすごいことできる？
No, I don't think so.
今まで一度も自分で意識してその力とかってのを使ったことないっしょ？
But now she's talking about it like it is real. That was true, and even if I did have powers, I have no idea how to use them.
ねえ、逃げよう。タッキーはよくやったよ。でもこれ以上は無理。
I don't think we should delusion right now. I think we need to focus on this.
死にたくないっしょ？
But Nanami.
どうせ生意気なナナミッチのことだからさ。ここでタッキーが頑張って助けたって感謝してくれなさそうじゃん。
She might not know we're saving her. Serotan's words got straight to the point, and it caught me off guard. It was true that even if I saved her life, Nanami would probably say something like,
お兄のせいでこんな目にあったんだからね。バカ。
She wouldn't even thank me. Instead, she'd insult me. I'd have to bear living with a family that would despise me for the rest of my life. At the end of the day, no matter what I'd say about her, Nanami was still just the same 3D little sister. She didn't make me moe over her. She didn't have any pure heart of a 2D character. She was always looking down on me, and she secretly, no, not secretly, made fun of me whenever she could. What happened to my bratty bee of a sister was none of my business. Sierra Town was the only thing, but my crap tier little sister wasn't worth betting my life on.
タッキー、自分のことだけ考えよう。
No, don't listen to her.
私はさ、タッキーに死んでほしくないな。こうしてずっとタッキーの脳内で二人きりでお話し続けたいんよ。
That's terrifying. Same. I also felt the most comfortable when talking to Sierra Town. I didn't give a crap about Nanami.
死にたくない。痛いのは嫌だ。死ぬのは嫌だ。消えるのは嫌だ。ナナミがどうなろうと。僕は痛くも痒くもない。
I muttered all that to myself. That was my way of trying to make it sound convincing. The one I should trust, it wasn't Shogun, it was Sierra Town.
あの剣は、剣に見えるだけで剣じゃない。ただの光の反射とか目の錯覚だ。
そうだよ。さあ、帰ろう。帰ったらさ、私のパンツ見ながらいっぱいエッチなこと想像していいから。
僕帰る。
I don't like
帰
this.
って、セーラタンでハーハーす
Oh
る
my
よ。
gosh. This dude.
嬉しいな。タッキーのためにエッチなポーズたくさんしてあげるね。
I slowly withdrew my outstretched hand. That alone made me feel much more at ease. I took Sierra Town out of my chest pocket and gazed at her smile. As long as I had her forgiveness, I didn't need anything else. I snuffled, sucking up the snot that had been dribbling from my nose, then I turned around and started walking towards Shogun.
誰が動いていいと許可した？クエストはまだクリアしていないぞ。
僕は勇者なんかじゃない。
Interesting. Is this another bad end?
妹一人救えないようなヘタレな妹だよ。僕に期待しないで。僕を見ないで。僕をそっとしておいて。
ではナナミちゃんは殺すことにするよ。
どうせもう死んでる。
She was already dead. Nanami had been brutally murdered by Shogun. Everyone would report on it starting tomorrow, treating it as the 6th NewGen incident. It saddened me, but there's nothing I could do about it. Oh gosh. I heard the sound of dripping water. No, that wasn't water. It was blood, Nanami's blood. Dark red blood dripped from her wrist where her hand had been severed.
なんで助けてくれなかったの？鬼って最低。
I screamed my guts out. The world turned crimson. My anger, my sadness, my shame were ripping my head apart, and my thoughts were a chaotic mess. Without any rhyme or reason, I charged towards Shogun and made to grab him within his hiding place in the shadows. But I didn't get to the physical response I'd expected. I collapsed along with the wheelchair. I must have hurt my elbow as pain was shooting through it. Grimacing, I searched for the person who should have been sitting on the wheelchair. At my feet, a head tumbled across the ground. Terrified, I slowly reached out my hand, and what I felt was extremely hard. Rather than a freshly severed head, it was very clearly a helmet. A pitch-black helmet. It's a Spider-Man, like Darth Vader? Darth Spider? Chapter 7, Psychopath. Okay. Alright, we're saving. This... Okay. This is probably the end we're going with, whatever it is, but I want to just see. I have to know. Was there another option if I did a delusion there? Okay, so... I just went back to check. It looks like the delusions lead to the same outcome. We didn't get the sword. I'm surprised by it because we can see it. The other thing about it, though, is... It looks like Nanami might actually be in trouble. Crap. And then, like... It also becomes this weird thing, like, who is Shogun, right? Shogun was a silhouette, and there. Remember, we have evidence from Yua that talks about how we ourselves were Shogun, or at least that the conversation that we had was, like, appeared to, like, we saw it as two-sided, but what it actually was like one-sided from people from two different spots. So what if it was a pre-recorded message sent from us to ourselves to play back at that time, and then we're up there having a thing, and then somehow, for some reason, our own subconscious is trying to get us to get access to the D sword, right? But that would also imply that we did that to our sister ourselves. It's just, all of it's just insane. I can't wait to figure out more, but I think we need to stop here. It's a perfect time for us to stop and take a break. I'm really mad that I saw the sword and I was able to get through some of those, like, doors that just lead to the bad end, but you know that I eventually just had to, like, brute force my way through. I'm still kind of like, I doubt it's that impressive, but, like, I saw the sword, I was like, oh my gosh, it's there, which is really cool. So I'm curious to see how it's all gonna play out from here, but all the same, I feel drained. Thank you so much for being here today. Thank you so much for joining me on the channel, for being a part of this exceptionally fun journey. It's been a pleasure being able to share this with you, and hopefully you don't mind where we ended. I feel like that was, like, pretty good length-wise, and also just content-wise. It's insane. I really hope Nanami's going to be okay. I hope she's not actually hurt, and that wasn't her actual hand, but if it was, which it kind of implied it might have been, I mean, it's a weird thing for her to say, that she specifically said that we're the worst thing that ever happened to her. Like, why would she say that if we weren't somehow involved and she somehow knew we were involved in her current predicament? Of course, that might not be real. I don't know. I don't know. I want to know what's gonna happen. I'm so upset and frustrated. Not upset bad, like, bad way. Like, I'm just, like, emotionally just like, I need to know what's gonna happen. So we'll see where it goes from here. Thank you so much for being here, especially for watching even through this part of it. It means the world to me that you're part of it. Thank you to the patrons and members for your support. I'll do my best to continue making content that's worth your support, and I hope you feel like supporting me as long as you feel capable. But, you know, don't feel obligated to. Don't feel like you have to keep doing it either. Like, even supporting for a little bit is more than enough and more than I could ever expect or ask, so thank you. And for everyone else who's just here, like, watching is more than I could expect or ask either, so thank you for being here. And until the next video you're watching me, have to see me in next. I'll see you there.